Hello and welcome to my Mahdi ROM review. In particular, this is the July 29th, 2014 build. It is Android 4.4.4 and you can see I'm using the Dr. 87's kernel, so it's the kernel that came with it. Simple kernel. If you're familiar, then you understand it just simply works. It's been a good kernel. I did not test the new Dormix kernel for AOSP that's available in the Veneer thread because I was having no issues with the ROM, and it seemed like it took a little bit of time for it to get settled in, so I really didn't want to play around with it too much and mess up my results. So here we go, and I will say this has come a long way since the last time I tested it, when it was one of two ROMs built on the KitKat sources. And really quick, to be brief, KitKat sources versus Jelly Bean sources, all we used to have was Jelly Bean, because obviously when KitKat was released, it was going to be some time before LG would release an official KitKat build with their ROM and kernel, so that they could be taken apart and used for AOSP. That being said, for the longest time, until LG officially released KitKat and its sources for the LG G2, we were using a Jelly Bean based kernel that had been modified to be used on are used with KitKat ROMs. That caused some issues with certain games, and overall performance wasn't optimized. Then when the new KitKat ROM came out and its sources were officially released, Dr. 87 and Houston, they both were taking it and getting it ready to be used in these ROMs. Some lessons have been learned, some screens were destroyed, if you're familiar, you know what I'm talking about. And then the Dr. 87, the good doctor, he discovered that what LG had done ingeniously is placed a check in the install. So when you were to install their ROM on the phone, LG's, it would detect whether you had an LGD or JDI panel, and then appropriately write the right hexadecimal code to make sure that you didn't get those permanent lines. And he did the same, and life is good. So here we go. Nice thing about Mahdi ROM is that most of your customizations are going to be found in one location, which is your UI settings. However, dotted through here, sorry, that's to be expected, that's your normal. Here's your sound, you got your music effects, your quiet hours. Again, nothing really surprising here. This is all your usual stuff. Okay, let's go back. Display. So here you got your rotation, your sleep, your font size, your daydream, your screencast, your screen recorder, which does work. Your animation for screen off. You have a couple options here. I'm trying to scale down, and it works just fine. Here's some advanced options. You got your toast, your system list for your scrolling, and your progress bars. So you can change your progress bars if you want to, change the colors, change the way it looks. You got some scrolling modifications here. You can enable, disable. You have your list views here. Your list view animations, okay. System and toast. Okay. So you get your little toast notification down there however you want it. There we go. Why not? Okay. Well, make sure I'm not missing anything over there. So you get your notification light, your battery light, wake up on charge, double tap to wake. Make sure that's checked, and color calibration. Buttons, another place where you'll find some customizations. Navigation bar, both Pi and the navigation bar customizations work. I have my nav bar down here set up with 5 icons. I find it to be very useful. It's for the way I use the device. I get access to my back where I want it. I have a quick power off right here. Again, very useful, and you can double tap on the lock screen to turn the phone back off. And you got your reorientate volume button. So you got this is the Pi like you're used to, with the 2 tiers, etc., the slim Pi, if you will. And the rest is usual: storage, battery, apps, tap and pay. Nothing really changed there. Notifications, here you go, you got the option of heads up. Alright, so we go to heads up, and there's your options for heads up. Notification reminder, lock screen notifications are here. They're very useful. Peek does work. Not my favorite, but it works. Lock screen options. You got your slider targets, you got your 8 targets, your slider torch, shortcuts, etc. all right there. battery on the lock ring, something I'm a big fan of. You have the new CyanogenMod theme engine, and it does work. As you can see here, it is working. UI settings, quick settings. Got your quick pull down, your smart pull down, show smaller tiles, flip tiles, auto close, vibrate on touch, tiles and layout. There you go. Pretty simple stuff. Notification drawer. You can add a brightness slider, which some might find pretty useful for on-the-fly adjustments. I've tried using it for a little while, but I'm a bigger fan of having the extra screen real estate. It doesn't take much. I'll go ahead and show you. It doesn't take much. Doesn't take up much, but whatever. Going back and through. Background style. You can change your background style. Multitasking. You have a couple options here. Your AOSP recents or your slim recents. Okay. So you have a choice on how you're presented with your recents. Both, again, do work. Clock and date, battery status, show battery percent. Here you got a little bit of more. What's more? Notification count, brightness control, double tap to sleep. Okay, so let's hit this. There you go. And you can get now to get it to double tap to sleep on the lock screen. Make sure you have glow pad enabled. All right. Battery bar, activity indicators, traffic indicators. All right. Immersive mode, I got mine set so my status bar stays visible, and then you disable on the lock screen. And that's all your customizations for Mahdi ROM. There have been some people not happy with the way they've reworked it. Honestly, I thought they'd be rather intuitive, minus what's hidden in the display and buttons section and the notification section. But other than that, it really was not hard to get used to. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick power on test and time it. There we go, timer's going. And while that's going, let me tell you about how the ROM performed for me. I did have a few issues. Most of them are I can basically say ROM related. Google Camera didn't play very nice with it. It crashed randomly. I had some other forced closes, mostly with the email application, but it wasn't all the time. And it wasn't enough that it impacted my opinion of the ROM either. So I may have been a second late, so you're looking at probably 23 even there on your boot time from power turned off. But other than that, really the ROM was very smooth, very daily drivable. Netflix works, YouTube works. I had no issues with those. Temperatures did seem to not rise as quickly as they have on some of the other recent ROMs that I've tested as far as AOSP and CM based, so it does seem like temperature is better controlled, and I think I attribute that to the kernel that's being used in this ROM. There were a couple times where I noticed that my signal up here at the top, it would switch to HSPA from being on the phone. When I hang up the phone, it wouldn't switch back over to LTE. That happened twice in the 5-6 days I've tested the ROM. So really that's not that bad. Reboot fixed the problem. Proximity sensor, there are some things going on here that are actually pretty welcome. And let me show you one of them. You got it covered up. This screen's not going to actually turn on your pocket. Okay? Very nice. It's from CyanogenMod. It's nice to see it in some other ROMs. Well, I say it's from CyanogenMod. It may have came from somewhere else, but I noticed it first in CyanogenMod, and I think that it's very welcome, and it will help a lot. Continuing on, one of the things with proximity sensor though as well is when you're in a phone call, it does seem like when you pull the phone away from your ear, the phone screen does not turn back on like you would expect it to, or at least hope for it to. Not a big problem. It's been a reoccurring theme in some of these ROMs, so whatever, it's there. Considerations when installing this ROM: make sure that you are using, well, Dr. 87 requests or recommends twerp. He even made a special version of twerp with thermal throttling integrated into it because he has recognized the amount of heat that is generated when this ROM is flat. Well, anything's really flashed or backed up. Use his, don't use his, it's your choice. Just be cognizant of heat, and don't forget to flash the patch. Flash it after the ROM, flash it after the gaps. It doesn't matter. Make sure you're also on an unmodified KitKat modem. Here you go. 1.2 gigs free from the reboot. 1.3-ish. Not bad at all. Also, don't forget to get your advanced reboot options. They are located in your developer options. Okay, so let's talk about battery life and benchmarks. Here we are on the first day using this ROM before it's really had any time to settle. This is on Dalvik, by the way. We have 11% battery life left. It's been 16 hours, 46 minutes off the charger. You can see here, you're awake and your screen on. Not terrible. They're pretty close. Over here we have some pretty crazy wait time. That's due to email, and I am familiar with it. And we still ended up with 4 hours and 36 minutes of screen on time on the first day of Flash. So showing you some of the wake locks again. I knew it was the email. It's pretty identifiable. I know what the problem is. Here's one crash that I had trying to run AT&T for benchmark, so it's just letting you know that I have had a few of these happen. They are random. It is what it is. Here's your benchmark, your first benchmark anyways, on Dalvik, 3688. 3688. This is, I ran it again after I let the phone sit for about 10 minutes, and you get 33016. Alright, here's another day of battery testing again on Dalvik, and you can see I had a reboot there. 10 hours, 33 minutes, 52 seconds. There's your awakes, there's your screen ons, so not terrible. Man, had 3 hours and 51 minutes, and again, I knew there was some issues there, and this was me draining the battery towards the end. Alright, continuing on. Here we have another battery test. This is on ART. 21 hours, 0 minutes and 8 seconds off the charger. You can look at your awake time and your screen on time and see we're pretty darn good here. And we're at 4 hours and 8 minutes off the charger. Looking at how we were trying to utilize to kill the battery and drain it off to get as close to 0 as possible and get the screen on time playing games, I would speculate easily another half an hour to 45 minutes to be added on to this. And even though that's not the best time, this is of course fresh after switching to ART. There's my wake locks. Another ART test. This is draining it all the way down to 2%. This is 16 hours 8 minutes off the charger. We're looking here again at the wake locks and the screen on, and we see we're not too bad at all. Lots of usage on this day, lots and lots of usage. 5 hours and 25 minutes of screen on time. I think that's pretty darn good, and that is on ART. And this is showing the wake locks. So this is even with a little bit of email problem. Continuing on ART, benchmark 33607. So not a huge difference between ART and Dalvik, as we're seeing here, 33607. So pretty similar from ART and Dalvik as far as performance on benchmarks goes. So let's close this up by talking about a few things. Scrolling, I did not notice any micro scroll lag with this ROM. Maybe it's just my perception, but I have seen scroll lag before, and it looks like this is pretty smooth. I don't know if it translates well on video here. We'll go ahead and jump into the Mahdi ROM thread there just so you can see. Let's go back a page where there's actually some threads. And this ROM is notorious for scroll lag. You can see I kind of got a little bit of it right there at the beginning, but now it's just smooth. Very, very nice, very responsive to touch. Things that are gone now, things like Omni Switch. I am a fan of Omni Switch, but not so much that I have to have it. I just think it's a cool, neat little way of doing multitasking. It has been removed from Mahdi, and I understand why. Not a big deal, because overall the performance in this ROM has been fantastic. The form is large. I'm going to tell you that right now, folks, so be careful before you post. More than likely your question's been answered before. I mean, we're looking at 13,771 posts. I know that's not as many as, say, Paranoid Android, but that's pretty darn high. So it's a very large form, and there are a lot of active and very fan-based usage on this ROM. A2DP was great. I will say that my 4Touch synced with it no problem, so did Kia Uvo, and that my 4Touch did allow for A2DP streaming with metadata sharing, and it also allowed for the text messages to go through the head unit. There are some users who are reporting issues with that feature on their particular head units, but with my 4Touch, it was working fine. Kia Uvo, obviously, the text messages don't work through Kia Uvo. They're, you know, whatever, it's Kia's thing. They advertise that you can do it, but you can't. At least none of the ROMs I've tried. And but it does do A2DP with metadata, and it streams just as you expect to over Bluetooth. So very usable, very nice. Other than that, really, that's the ROM, guys. Very impressed with Mahdi. I'm very impressed with where it's come. Dr. 87's done some great work with this. I know he's continuing to rework with it. He's using mixes between the Nexus 5 kernel and the LG G2 KitKat kernel. The guy's a genius, and he continues to develop for us, which is fantastic. And I really recommend this ROM, even with the few crashes that I've had. I'm sure they will get cleared up through time. Don't forget, again, if you're going to flash this ROM, be on KitKat modem. Don't forget to flash the patch afterwards. And if you found this video useful, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I always keep a baseband backup. Thank you.